A very good evening and welcome to a brand new edition of News First Weekend. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Stolen weapons from the Lanka police discovered from a temple. Norochole power plant back in operation after suffering its 25th breakdown. Pressurized gas cylinder caused for Sri Lankan Airlines flight diversion. Sri Lankan woman mysteriously killed in Oman. Ancient mass graves discovered in Greece.
The state ceremony for the anointing of oil, a tradition followed with the dawn of the Sinhala and Tamil New Year, took place this morning at the Sri Pushparama Temple in Malagoda, Payagala, under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena.
President Maithripala Sirisena, who arrived at the temple, engaged in religious observances. At the auspicious time of 10:41 this morning, the President took part in the tradition of anointing oil. Following this tradition, the President planted a red sandalwood sapling at the temple premises. An Ayurvedic handbook penned by the Commissioner for Ayurveda, L.H. Tilakaratna, was presented to the President at this occasion.
The tradition of anointing oil took place today at locations across the island. Anointing of oil at the Mahabodhi Agdasavak Vihare in Maligakanda took place at the auspicious time of 10:41 this morning under the auspices of Venerable Banagal Upadisthara, the chief incumbent of the temple.
This is an important tradition and it is important that it takes place at the Agrastravaka temple. This was the headquarters of the late Sir Anagarika Dharmapala. This is the place which pioneers in the preservation and protection of religious traditions. Therefore, it is important that this tradition takes place here.
The tradition of anointing oil also took place this morning at the Kalani Rajamavihara under the auspices of Venerable Professor Kullupitiye Mahinda Sangharakita Thera. The indigenous communities also took part in this tradition. The significance of the tradition is that everyone in the community congregates at the location where bows and arrows used by dead relatives are placed. An event was organized in Kandy today to perform the New Year tradition of anointing oil.
The event, which was organized by Essalon Lanka Private Limited, was held at the Srinatha Devalaya in Kandy. Our aspiration is to prepare a program so that the traditions and cultures will be protected and preserved for the future generations of the country. This is the only asset that we have, and we can term that as our identity. If we lose our identity, we as Sri Lankans will have nothing to show the world.
The weapons which were stolen from the Lagala police station were discovered from the premises at the Sandagala temple in Lagala early this morning.
On the 14th at 11:30 p.m, a T-56 assault rifle and 5 revolvers were stolen from the gun locker of the Lagala police station. The investigations were handed over to the CID and detective pursued this based on several leads. The weapons were discovered from a washroom in the Vallevala Sandagala temple in Lagala this morning.
The distance between the police station and the temple is 3 kilometers. The weapons are discovered from the washroom located in the premises of the Lagala temple.
The chief incumbent of the temple, Venerable Puakpitiye Ratnasara Thero, said that he witnessed the weapons when he went into the washroom this morning.
I noticed the weapons when I went to wash my face in the morning. I turned back and informed the layman of this. I used the washroom at 7 last night and there was nothing in it. This had taken place between that time and 6:45 this morning.
The police took custody of the weapons that were discovered and suspect that the weapons may have been dumped at this location. Police media spokesperson ASP Ruan Gunasekara, speaking to News First, said that police suspect that this incident may have been the result of an internal dispute at the police station.
The police canine unit was dispatched this evening as well to the area as part of the investigations. Jayalalithaa, the Minister of Southern Development, commented on the Port City project.
Port City wage vyapruti.
Projects like the Port City will go ahead. There will be changes. We have looked into the impact it has on the environment and made changes. We looked into the legal ownership of the lands and decided to commence the project. We will develop the Kumamoto port and increase the employment opportunities and also look into the airport as well. We will look into these matters and recommence the projects.
මේ හැම දෙයක්ම ගැන අපි මේ විදිහට බලලාද නැවත ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න පටන් අරගෙන තියෙනවා.
The minister made this statement following the anointing of oil tradition at the Sri Vishnu Devalaya in Devinuwara, Matara. Still in local news, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa laid out the reasons as to why he will not attend the Sri Lanka Freedom Party May Day rally.
There is a fear of us attending the May Day rally. What are we going to speak on stage on the May Day rally? We will be speaking against the government. In the event, if there is some commotion and some sort of objection accompanied with hooting, I will be held accountable. How could I accept that? I do not like that.
The revised value-added tax, which will come into effect on the 2nd of May, was widely discussed in the political arena.
Following the dawn of the new year, the government of good governance gave the people of the country a gift. VAT will be imposed on goods and services. This will affect the economy of everyone in the country. The expenses for an innocent person to get his health checked will be doubled. When we took over the nation in 2015, the GDP in the country dropped to 10%. Therefore, we need to increase that to 15% or 20%. We have taken a temporary decision to increase the VAT from 11% to 15%. When the income of the country is 1,250 billion, the expenses are 3,500 billion. Under that, prices of goods will increase. What we are doing is increasing the revenue of the government.
A Sri Lankan woman serving in Muscat, Oman has been found dead under mysterious circumstances.
This woman, who had been serving as a domestic aide in Oman for several years, was a resident of Kurunegala. She had been murdered around 4 or 5 days ago.
In this area that we live, there was a girl from Kurunegala. This Pakistani man cut her neck and killed her. He's gone away now, and this Bengali man has been accused. 4 or 5 days ago, she was in Aliyat, which is close to Muscat, Oman. According to the reports now, if nobody steps forward in 4 days, she will be buried here.
Newsfirst contacted Jayalalithaa Korala, the Minister of Foreign Employment, in this regard. Taking the information provided by us into consideration, Jayalalithaa Korala informed the ambassador to look into this matter.
The Civil Aviation Authority announced it will record statements and probe the detention of 5 passengers from flight UL 309, which was diverted back to Singapore yesterday. It was revealed today the passengers in question had attempted to carry a gas cylinder, which is a prohibited and a restricted baggage item. The Sri Lankan Airlines yesterday said that the Colombo-bound flight UL 309 from Changi Airport, Singapore, was directed to return to the airport due to security concerns soon after it was airborne, and at least 5 passengers are being held for interrogation. According to a flight tracking website, the plane was in the air for a total of 3 minutes before being recalled. The flight UL 309 was asked to return to Changi Airport on security concerns after it was airborne. On its return, the Singaporean authorities rechecked all the luggage and interviewed a few passengers. Director General of Civil Aviation H.M. Sinimasari said the CAA was looking into the incident.
As per the reports I have received, it was due to some item which is forbidden carriage by air had been in the aircraft. One passenger had reported to security concern that there had been some more items on board, and that is the reason why Singapore authorities have called it back. So after thorough check of the flight, they had released the flight to depart. Basically, Singapore Civil Aviation Authority wanted the flight to be fully secured before it reached Colombo. That was the reason why they have called it back. As I understand, they are all Sri Lankan, and on return this afternoon about 1 o'clock they were to come and land, and we have made arrangement to record statement from them and find out as to what was in their bag. Those were identified to be dangerous goods, some sort of pressurized gas cylinders, small cans which are used for remote camping kind of thing. Where people don't have other facilities, they use it, heat up some small food items.
When contacted, a spokesperson for the Singapore Police Force said that the incident is being investigated and details will be released following the conclusion of the investigations. According to international air safety regulations, gases and pressure containers are completely banned from aircrafts. This includes aerosols, carbon dioxide, cartridges, oxygen tanks, mace, tear gas, pepper spray, self-inflating rafts, and deeply refrigerated gases such as liquid nitrogen. An individual injured in an altercation in Demetracotta has been hospitalized. The police media spokesperson's office said that an individual who had arrived in a three-wheeler had stabbed another in close proximity to the flyover with a broken bottle. The injured individual was admitted to the National Hospital in Colombo. The police said the suspect in connection to the crime had fled the scene. Two houses in Port de la Gaule had caught fire last night. Footage shows that a group that broke into the house last night when the owners were not in had attempted to loot the items. It is suspected that they may have set fire to the house afterwards.
This happened when we went for a funeral. 2 cupboards were burnt to ashes. There were 2 towel racks and 3 beds. Everything was destroyed.
When the fire brigade of the Galle Urban Council was dousing the fire at this house, another fire broke out in a house located 75 meters away. The same fire brigade was dispatched to douse that fire as well.
There were gold jewellery in the cupboard and there were the beds. There was money in the house. The money was looted and then set on fire.
The office of the police media spokesperson said that both fires are connected and investigations are underway to make arrests. The power generator, which had been inactive for the past 5 days in the Norochole power plant, was restored today.
The maintenance activities have concluded and the electricity generation will commence. We will be able to generate the maximum capacity of 300 megawatts through the 3 generators. Generator number 2 and 3 will be in effect from tomorrow, and operations of generator number 1 will be stopped for maintenance. This is not the first instance that this power plant, which was constructed incurring a cost of 13,600 billion rupees, malfunctioned. The power plant malfunctioned 25 times in the last 5 years. We observed a leak in the steam on the night of the 11th. The power plant was generating electricity at the time. Therefore, we halted operations to do the required maintenance. In 3 days, we were able to complete the maintenance activities successfully. The plant is now ready to generate electricity to the grid. Our hope is to maintain this power plant so that it can add electricity to the national grid. That is our happiness. But according to the information we have received, we are doubtful whether they can provide electricity by evening. There are no solutions for this issue even in the future. This Norachole power plant will break in the future and it will be renovated. They will inform the public that they need 4 to 5 days to renovate it and ask them to be patient. That is what will be happening. That will be the pattern. We are clear of where this is heading. There is an attempt to hand over Norachole to the Chinese company. The engineers at the Ceylon Electricity Board also share the allegations that were raised when Norachole power plant malfunctions. At the latter stages, the plans that were forwarded by us were overtaken and the decisions were reached to construct the second and third power plants from the same Chinese company based on political decisions. We will not criticize these decisions. We as the public are responsible for this situation. The engineers at the Ceylon Electricity Board cannot shy away from these allegations that are raised against them, that they are not connected. It is not a mafia that is functioning in the CEB, there is terrorism, and that is more ruthless than the LTTE. You cannot stop this allegation from being raised against all engineers. There is a majority that is helping this mafia. These days they are signing contracts for thermal power plants. There was a company that could not be removed from the CEB. Now even the minister has raised questions, and when foreign minister have raised suspicions, last Tuesday this mafia has awarded a tender to this private company to generate electricity. This was to be removed from the CEB. There is a serious situation like this. The public will have to pay for these wrongdoings. Norachole has become a burden, not only because it caused an island-wide blackout. It is a tragedy that the people in the surroundings of this power plant have to live and inhale the fly ash that is emitted by this power plant. People continue to raise allegations that in the backdrop where this power plant is causing this problem, there is an attempt to construct a similar power plant in Sampur.
A very unusual New Year celebration was reported today, where all activities centered around one particular material, mud. Here's a look.
This very extraordinary New Year festival took place at the Imbulanvela paddy field in Meerigama. There were many enthusiastic individuals who stepped forward to climb the mud-coated pole and race on a mud-covered track. The New Year Prince was also selected in a very unusual manner, where the contestants had to bathe and coat themselves with mud to make it to the top spot. The winner was crowned as the Prince of Mud rather than the Prince of the New Year.
On a more serious note, a powerful 7.3 magnitude quake struck the Kumamoto region early in the morning, the second large earthquake to strike the area in a matter of days. The Newsfirst International Desk reports.
After being shaken by a series of powerful earthquakes, Japan's Kyushu region is grappling with aftershocks as emergency crews scramble to rescue survivors trapped under rubble. This is the Kyushu Island, which is also known as the Kumamoto Prefecture. The capital of this island is Kumamoto. Now on Thursday, a 6.5 magnitude earthquake struck in this area. The epicenter of the second earthquake, which struck the Kumamoto region, is located here, home to around 700,000 people. Some 20,000 troops are being deployed in the operation in Kyushu region after the magnitude 7.3 earthquake hit early this morning. According to Japanese media, at least 18 people have been killed and hundreds have been injured. Dozens of people are feared trapped in the rubble of collapsed buildings. Roads have been damaged and big landslides have been reported over a wide area. Some 200,000 households are now without power. There are fears that forecast rain could set off more mudslides. The Kumamoto government has opened over 100 evacuation centres for residents and have started handing out food, water and blankets. Japan is one of the most seismically active areas on Earth, accounting for about 20% of global quakes of magnitude 6.0 or greater. Seismometers are recording some kind of activity every 5 minutes on average. Amantha Veerasinghe, who is a Sri Lankan student in Japan, experienced this incident and he now joins us from Japan.
As all of a sudden our apartment started to shake and me and my roommates woke up and started to panic because it was quite strong, and we started taking precautions to move to a higher location, to a higher ground rather, because there was a tsunami warning sent out. And right now me and my roommates are in a safer place, and according to the Japanese news, they are expecting more earthquakes within the coming hours, rather today and tomorrow. And so all of us have taken action and precautions in order to avoid unnecessary accidents.
Taking a look at more local stories, Gantha the Minister of Parliamentary Reform and Mass Media presided over a New Year festival in Muleriava, Colombo today.
The festival, organised by MPSM Marika, took place at the TB Ilangaratna Playground in Muleriava, Colombo. On the 8th of January elections, Muleriava and Colombo, which is overwhelmed with drugs and the underworld, was rescued, and today the people are enjoying the fruits of freedom and democracy, and this has given way for development to rise. Colombo, which used to win through drugs and garbage, managed to come to the top position in the ordinary level examination.
3 Indian naval vessels docked at the Colombo harbour for a naval exercise.
The Indian Navy's first training squadron, comprising of the INS Tir, INS Sujata and Coast Guard ship Varuna, arrived at the port of Colombo on a training visit yesterday. The Indian naval ships were ceremonially welcomed by the Sri Lankan Navy in accordance with naval traditions on their arrival. Mementos were exchanged to mark the occasion. The 3 Indian ships are scheduled to depart Sri Lanka on the 19th of April 2016, having conducted a joint naval exercise with the Sri Lankan Navy. The Sri Lankan Navy has also decided to dispatch several vessels on patrol in the Strait of Malacca. At present, the Navy hopes to dispatch the Sayura, Samudra, Sagara and Jayasagara vessels for this purpose. The Navy media spokesperson said that the Navy hopes to purchase 2 more naval vessels from India in 2017 and 2018. The Navy media spokesperson said that 2 Sri Lankan vessels are currently engaged in training missions in the Strait of Malacca.
AIADMK leader and Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu Jayalalithaa has reiterated that she would take steps to retrieve Kachethyu, which was ceded by India to Sri Lanka in 1974 to uphold the traditional fishing rights of Tamil fishermen. Indian media reports that she hoped to get a favourable verdict from the Supreme Court annulling the agreement signed by then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and her Sri Lankan counterpart. Addressing an assembly election rally in Aruppukotte, she accused her principal political rival and DMK President M. Karunanidhi of remaining a mute spectator when Kachethyu was seated by the centre when he was ruling the state. DMK Treasurer M.K. Stalin denied the charge levelled by AIADMK leader Jayalalithaa against his party on the Kachethyu issue. And in sports news, the Sri Lanka men's hockey team qualified to the finals of the round 1 of the FIH Hockey World League. Sri Lanka will clash with China in the finals tomorrow.
Dancing. Oh, wonderful play. What a wonderful...
Round 1 of the FIH Hockey World League is taking place in Singapore. Sri Lanka qualified into the semi-finals after securing wins in all the preliminary rounds. In the semi-finals, Sri Lanka played against Thailand. At the end of the first half, Sri Lanka led the game 2-0. Sri Lanka scored another 3 goals in the second half and won the game 5-0. Anuradha Ratnayake and Sandaruwan Sudhasinghe scored 2 goals while Abhita Fernando recorded 1 goal. China defeat host Singapore in the other semi-final 5-0. The finals between Sri Lanka and China will commence at 5:30 p.m. tomorrow Sri Lankan time.
See who will qualify for rank.
Charlie Chaplin has been the definition and benchmark of comedy in our lives for a very long time. His great works has made the world laugh, cry and feel for more than a century and still continues to leave its charm. Chaplin's World Museum, dedicated to Charlie Chaplin, opened its doors in Switzerland.